Assalamu alaikum. This is the story of Sakib Ahmed, the man behind Simply Smashed, one of London's most popular halal burger spots. He went from working in tech at Goldman Sachs to changing the halal burger game. His journey is all about taking risks, making smart decisions, and building a successful business by prioritizing the community first. If this is your first time here, I'm Zaid Patel. I run High Castle Estates, helping people invest in property to build wealth. I also host the Muslim Pound podcast, where we talk about money, business, and how Muslims can grow financially. If you want to learn on how to build success the right way, then consider subscribing to the channel. Sakib was building a career in tech at Goldman Sachs while studying, but he had a passion for creating things and solving problems. And coming from a family in the food business, starting a burger joint just felt like the right move. Sakib's family already ran several restaurants, including a halal Italian spot. But after COVID, they had to rethink their business. The idea for Simply Smashed came when Sakib's brother had a bad burger and thought, we can do better. They spent months testing and perfecting recipes until they created the perfect smash burger.
My dad's first business when he first moved here was another Indian restaurant, one that's actually still open today. Near East London Mosque. He was there with a couple partners, and he did that for a couple months to a year, and then left and opened a new one in Stepney, which is the current Simply Smash location now. That's gone through a lot of changes over time. Initially, it was a Somali restaurant.
Okay.
And it was called Zaytoon. Back then, Somali food wasn't really trendy. Yeah, he had a close friend. He made it, which became his partner. So him and his friend was Somali. They recommended Somali food, and they went into business together, and did that for a couple years, and then he moved on to Italian restaurant. That was actually started by my brother, so my co-founder of Simply Smashed, and he started that. Him and my dad. I was still quite young back then. Him and my dad started that together. I still remember like those stories back then. But they started that when he was just 18. Like when he went on his gap year after doing his A-levels. They thought, what's the good gap in the market, And Halal Italian wasn't there at the time, so they started that Halal Italian restaurant, which he did quite well. And then we kept that going for a couple of years until like COVID, and that's when like the story of Simply Smash began around that time.
Most restaurants guess what people want, but Simply Smash did things differently. They let customers customize their burgers, collected feedback, and improved their menu based on data. Instead of offering a huge menu, they focused on just 3 burgers and made them the best possible.
Even during my degree apprenticeship program, I spent the first 2 years as a voice engineer. So you do more kind of infrastructure management, managing migrations, all that kind of thing. I was trying to gravitate more towards like the client side of things. And after my stint as a voice engineer, I built my technical skills as a software engineer for the next 3 years. And worked and built another startup at the time, which was my first taste in building startups, which was Mini-Lead. And that's when I started really enjoying building things and really getting grasp into like understanding product, understanding how users behave, understanding how to build something that people want. And like all of those experiences have helped build what we've built today. And it's like when people talk about like how do you make such a like radical change from like tech to burgers, I think I've come from a family of entrepreneurs. And I always gravitate. It wasn't such a radical leap because I was always interested in that side of things. It was really good for me to build the technical side, and I think that's really helped me in terms of understanding how to tackle problems. I think understanding that, having that product thinking, understanding how to build something people want is like universal.
But money was tight, so Sakib and his brother gave themselves 140 days to see if the business would work. They launched 3 brands at once: Simply Smashed, a French doner spot, and a vegan burger concept. Simply Smashed was the clear winner, proving that quality and strategy matter more than hype.
Ever since then, I think that experience of like playing around in the dark, sharing, we're building and sharing, building and sharing, but was not getting traction. Even before I knew what product manager was, and after Goldman, I did a year as a product manager. But even then, those experiences of like hands-on, trying to understand what user work, I think those played a massive part in understanding how to build products people want. And when we talk about how we've applied that to Simply Smashed, how we've applied to making burgers, it's been a lot of that process. We've taken a very scientific approach to building burgers, and we also talk about like how Simply Smashed is the result of both me and my brother are product managers. So after Goldman Sachs, I did a year as a product manager in a fintech, and like we said, we've got a lot more experience in product while building MiniDeed. Is that we've taken an approach where we call like data-driven burgers. It's a term I coined ourselves. But like the idea is that if we can, we need to figure out what people want. And when we started, I remember, especially when we started, we had a very, very wide customization menu, almost like that Five Guys style model where you can just pick everything you want.
Sakib leveraged social media, especially Twitter, to share the business journey. This built a strong community around the brand, and instead of paying influencers, they let customers spread the word naturally.
You know, this concept of building in public, it started early from my MiniDeed days, and I didn't even know that was like a thing what people do to gain traction. It was genuinely, I was really excited on working on MiniDeed at the time, and I started sharing a bunch of features back then, and I realized that like it was a great way to kind of document our journey and share it out and start getting some users. Like it wasn't something where I saw like a couple of articles on that building in public is great, you should be doing it. It was generally something I discovered by myself. Like it was by doing MiniDeed, by getting we've gotten a lot of traction through there. We've met a lot of interesting people through that, and we thought, you know what, this works. Like. I think especially during distribution, it's very nice is once you find something that works and you understand it, I think you should be trying. You've learned that, right? You should be once you've learned the thing, you can apply it to different ventures, apply it to different things.
And here's another amazing element to their business. You see, many Muslim businesses focus only on profit, but Simply Smashed stuck to its principles. They made it a space where prayer was encouraged, no music was played, and Islamic values were upheld. This strengthened their brand identity and inspired other Muslim entrepreneurs to do the same. Sakib didn't just want a restaurant, he wanted a place for Muslims to connect. Non-Muslims often meet at bars, but Muslims gather around food. So Simply Smashed became a third space, a place to eat, pray, and build connections.
We've always wanted to do things based on our values. And to be fair, for me, what I've seen, especially in this food scene, in the halal food scene, is I was not quite satisfied with how Muslim entrepreneurs were running their businesses. Right? It was it was a weird thing where there was Muslim business owners with like the customers are Muslim, but they somehow compromise on their Islamic values on the journey to reach those customers.
Give me an example.
So, for example, like content, for example, there's like Muslim business owners using like young impressionable Muslim women to lure customers, and they know exactly what they're doing. These are kind of things they're doing. They're like I've had experiences when I'm going to restaurants. It's Maghrib time, restaurants fully empty, all those staff are Muslim, music's blaring. They won't let me pray in store, or like lower the music or all of those things. They just won't do it, even though it's not very hard adjustments to make, right? Just letting me pray, but those are the things they're not willing to do.
Growing a restaurant isn't easy. Unlike a tech product, a burger has to taste great every single time. To keep the quality high, Sakib's team built systems to train staff and maintain consistency while expanding. Instead of spending money on ads, Simply Smashed focused on giving back. They supported local masjids, ran the Fajr nights, which rewarded kids for praying Fajr, and donated profits to Palestine. This built customer loyalty and even led to big brand collaborations without spending a penny on marketing. Unlike some businesses, Simply Smashed openly supported Palestine, which led to backlash and negative reviews from Zionists. But instead of backing down, Sakib stood firm, and the Muslim community rallied behind the brand, making it more successful than ever.
If we spent money, they would have cost like 50, 60,000. Or like having influencers like Chunks and like Aki Ayman. Those guys come down. It was completely free collaborations, right? But and we generally, when we think about it, it's generally because we believe that it's because of our barakah-based approach that we've managed to secure those partnerships. I mean, like five-figure influencer partnerships for free. We're unapologetic about our values, and if we can showcase, we can do things successfully while sticking to our values. That's one of the reasons why we come up with these campaigns. Like the Sisters Night was more about how can we make Simply Smash feel a bit more inclusive of the sisters, right? And like our match days were really becoming a good space for like brothers to kind of relax and unwind. But we could create these spaces where like only sisters can enjoy the space free of brothers. And that's inspired other restaurants to do Sisters Nights as well. It's building these kind of ways that we can uplift the community so that other restaurants, other places, other businesses can see that, and that's the thing that they're inspired by, and they can uplift the community, right? Like I think that's something special about like being an entrepreneur, is that you can have that impact, like you mentioned, right? Having an impact, and if the idea is like if we're building this community space as a business, it made sense for us to kind of give back, right? Our involvement in Charity Week, our involvement in all of these community initiatives to kind of building that standard of how Muslim businesses should operate and having that wider impact.
Now that Simply Smashed is one of the top halal burger brands, the next step is expanding across London and beyond. Sakib wants to bring the Simply Smashed experience to more people while staying true to his values.
If we can build this next generation of entrepreneurs to be much more collaborative, support and uplift each other, and we're starting to see that now, and like I see a lot in there, like in like Muslims in tech, where they're uplifting each other a lot more and they're progressing a lot faster. I think that can make us progress a lot faster. If you are surrounded by very high achievers, high dreamers, it can make you want to dream more as well. When you start focusing more on the things you have, and there are things like we need to have more shukr in the things that we have, especially when we have little, right? And what the things Allah has given me, whether that's material possessions, whether that's knowledge, skills, experience, what the people that I know, and like the conditions you have, especially when you have, it builds that tenacity, right? It builds, that itself could be a privilege. Like the fact that you've grown with not a lot, that you should be working harder. And like when we have shukr in what we do have, and the possibility that and we tie back to our why, what we want to do, what we want to achieve, I think it can allow us to dream more.
Sakib's journey is proof that success comes from resilience, smart business moves, and having great values. He showed that you can build a thriving business while sticking to your principles, serving the community, and focusing on quality. Let me know in the comments what lesson from Sakib's journey inspired you the most. See you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.